Friends, so today's video is on a very interesting question which somebody asked me, that how much money is needed for retirement. So there are so many factors which actually determines how much money you need for retirement, and it is not very easy to get to that particular number, right? One can say that okay, you need 100 crores or maybe 200 crores for you to get financial freedom, or you don't need to do anything, or you can retire easily. But that is not the point. Here, the point is, if you religiously find out how much minimum amount of money that is needed for retirement. So, for that, what I have done is I have worked on particular this Excel. Certain assumptions we will take to reach to a particular number, and that number can be taken as a number for you to retire at some age, right? So typically we have to assume the age. For example, let's take here in this age, let's put some data. Let's say somebody who is willing to retire at around 49 years of age. So let's put 49, and you can just see this here, the age column. You can see that automatically takes you from 49 to 87 years. I have taken 87, but if you want to extend it, you can extend it. So I think 89 years can be a very reasonable years for anybody. Hence, I've taken that. There is no rule that you cannot take beyond this. You can take any age. Okay, but it should be rational. Okay. So now the next important question that you have to answer is how much money you have saved. Right? Saved can be, for example, I have taken three different categories of uh, where you can save. One is the debt, where all fixed deposit or whatever income you have, all those things can be put this. So I am just safely assuming that you have around 1 crore. You know how many zeros are there in 1 crore? 7, right? So I hope 7. If you see this, automatically what happens, since I have written many formulas here, automatically it is picking that number. So here I'll explain that little later. So now let's say you have got debt or fixed deposit or whatever fixed. This basically risk-free income that you have or you have deposited. So that much I have. Okay. And I'm also assuming that you have also have some 50 lakhs. That money is for emergency. And I would rather suggest everybody to have some money kept for emergency, because you never know, anything can happen. So you have to keep some money. So I'm just bringing something which is very reasonable for anybody. Okay. Now equity. Let's say you have got some mutual funds, or you directly invest money in this. So that particular thing is. If you take the total, let's say you have got 1 crore of that also. Okay. Now, once you have this, typically, now let's say today you retire with this money. Now the question is, will this be sufficient? I have certain assumption for this. To reach to that particular number. The first one, I'm assuming that this whatever money you are getting is actually divided between debt and equity in a 50-50. And half you put in debt and half you put in equity, just to make our life easy. But always you can change this to 60-40 or whatever is your scheme. I have just taken 50-50 so that I can reach that number. You can change always. Okay. So now, once you are clear about this, the next very important part is to know that your debt and or maybe your equity, what is the percentage that you can take as a safe percentage that you are going to get from this? So what we have done is that equity, I'm assuming that you are getting 50%. Okay, 15% is a reasonable, but if you want to change that percentage into 10% or little more, that always you can do. But or maybe we can change it in between and see how things are changing, right? And that I'm assuming that the interest rate is 5.5% for most of the period here in this, but I'm expecting that since inflation is now a little higher or it is getting higher, so I'm expecting that interest rate is also going to go towards the upward side. So I have just variable interest that I have taken 6.5, 7.5 in due course of time. So typically, if you want to keep it constant, fine. If you want to change it like this, just to become little reasonable, I have changed the interest rate over time, right? So typically, I'm expecting that interest rates are going to go up now onwards. Okay. Okay, typically, once you're clear about this scheme of an interest rate and the return, now you come to the most important part of your planning is the expense part, right? So typically, I have kept expense as 0 for the time being. Here, I have one more assumption to make that every year because of inflation, your expenses are increased by 8%, right? Typically, I've taken. You can always check this with or change this with 6% if you are convinced that 6% is going to be the inflation in the near future. But I have taken 8%, okay, just for the sake of taking. Okay. So now, once you have got this clear, so this is again very interesting part because expenses are the responsibilities that we have as a family towards our kids or towards maybe marriage of our kids or for any other responsibility. You want to have a car, you want to have a house, all those things. What I mean, this is particular to a particular person, or you can say that typically, if you want me to divide, probably I would divide money for education and then maybe a car or maybe marriage or something like that, right? So typically, I'm not very keen on that. Only these are the ways you can have your expense. You put all your expenses, think and just put the number, right? So what I have done is I have just divided these expenses typically in this fashion. Right, I have one kid or maybe two kids. So based on that, probably you can put whatever education money is needed for their education. So here, so I've just written that kids' education is 25 lakhs per year, and that continues for let's say 5 years, something like that. Plus, on top of it, your expenses, right? And then, of course, I have this 20 lakhs for a new car. Or if you have already a car, probably you will sell it, buy a new car, and typically maybe electric car at some point. Maybe, I don't know. So you have your own choices. So please feel free to put the numbers that you have with respect to the cars. And then, of course, there is marriage. In India, typically marriages are costly, and if you are planning to have a very nice, function and things like that, then it is going to cost you, and hence whatever number comes to your mind, you can put this number. So typically, what I have done, I have already put some numbers. So I'm going to explain these numbers in a moment. Okay, so once we have this number, typically most of the things are done. So let me just explain what is this number. So now this is for the year 2022, right? So in 2022 we have got few more months, so that is why it is 12 lakhs I need to complete this particular year. And then this is 24 lakhs, so typically 2 lakhs per month, so it is 24 lakhs. And then of course 24 lakhs plus 25 lakhs for kids education, so that becomes 50 lakhs. And then 5% or sorry 8% of that inflation. So that is how it goes to 68 lakhs after 5 years of education. So 5 years education I'm spending. So this is how it is. Then after that again I'm increasing my monthly expense to 3 lakhs per month. So that becomes 36 lakhs per year. Okay, so it's like this. And of course I need a car, so it is going to be added to that number, so it's around 58, something like that. And then typically you can always take this like this. You have what do you call milestones, like you have 2 kids, 2 marriages. So I have just kept 1 crore for 1.5 crores for the marriage of that, right? So this is how I have increase. So if you have anything else to be added, probably you can add that, and this is how it continues, right? And I have reasonably kept very high amount of money to cushion on. For example, some people may say that I need to have a house. Why I want to stay in rented one? So I have sufficient money kept for that. So if you want to buy a house, probably you can buy and then pay EMI, whatever you have. So feel free to put the numbers in this expense column, and based on your requirements, you can just put, right? So once we have that number, typically, let's come back to our calculation. So now I'm expecting that you have got 1 crore for 1 crore of fixed deposit you have. 1.5 crore of fixed deposit, and let's assume again here 1.5 crores of you have equity. So total your corpus is around 3 crores, right? So this is the number that you have for the time being. Okay, so to start with, right? And what you have done, you have basically divided this into two parts. In equity, you're putting half of it, and in debt, you're putting half of it, right? And typically, we are assuming that equity is going to give you 15%, and debt or fixed deposit is going to give you at 5% in the year 2022, which is going to be changed as you move, right? But here equity part, we have kept it constant because we expect that equity market is going to give you 15% return. And typically that may not be exactly like every year you are going to get 15%, but more or less in a long run 15% you are going to get, and hence I have assumed. But if you are willing to have more realistic number, probably you can change some years return to less or more based on your requirement. Okay, so or your assumption, probably not the requirement. Anyway, so that is going to be there. So now the question is, in this scheme, do you think 3 crore of corpus is sufficient for you to survive with the expenses that you have just mentioned? And typically, you will see that with this income, it is not possible for you to survive. Why? Because with this income, typically you will end up reaching to this number, which is negative. That basically shows that when you reach to the age 60, all your money will be spent. All your money will be over, and you will not have money for further this, right? So what do we do? So typically we agree to this particular point that with 3 crores, at least with these expenses, it is very difficult for you to survive, go beyond 60 years of age. So now let's do a little, change in data to show that how much money is needed. Let me just put this as, 2 crores. Okay, and then probably this also I will make it 2 crores. or I can just make it okay. So now let's say instead of 3 crores, let me put this as 4 crore and see how are you performing. If you have 4 crores now and you have put 4 crores into typically 2 crores in debt and 2 crores in equity, and if you have this calculation, probably what you can see is that interestingly you can survive till 67 years of age, right? So this is another now many people may say that okay, fine, so now what do we do? So there are two ways of handling this, right? One, either you increase your income or you work for a little more years and increase your saving total corpus from 4 to let's say 5, and if it is 5 or maybe 6, let's say. So let me put this as 6, and again you're dividing like 2 this one, and typically sorry, so it's like so 5 crores. Can you see that here it is 5 crores? So now with 5 crores, can you survive with these expenses, lavish expenses, marriages, and typically education, car, everything that mentioned, and very lavish in the sense around 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs per month. Probably if you have this, typically you will see very nice. So you can survive up to 81 years of age with these calculations. So can you see that here? Typically, you will end up having negative. That basically means till 80 years of age you can survive. So now 5 crore is also not sufficient, right? So or probably you can do one thing, right? So if you have if you think that 5 crore looks little big, what do I do? Probably you can be little conservative in terms of your expense. Probably you can think of reducing it and see if it is possible, right? Or else, let's not touch the expense part of it. Let's reach to this particular point where we will increase this to 6 crore. So now it is 5. So I will put this as 6. So let me put this as 6 crore, and here it is. Okay, so I'm just putting it 6 crores. So now let's see, 6 crore with 15%, 50% of that invested in equity. Then is, I mean, you can say SIP or anywhere where you are getting 15% of return, and then there is some debt instrument where you are getting 5.5 to maybe 7.5 based on the years that you are investing, and based on our assumption that the interest rate is increasing over time, and in this case it is increasing from 5.5 to 7.5. Can you see this? Okay, so now with this we have increased our corpus to 6 crore, and 50-50 we have done investing in equity and debt market. And now if you are going to see this, so many things are coming on anyway. So in this you can see that how long you can survive. Wow, this is perfect. So what you are going to see is till 87 years of age you are comfortably placed. That basically means with these expenses you are actually not only surviving with this money, but also you are able to live. Let's say your lifespan is up to 87 years of age, God forbid, let's assume that you live little more than that. Probably we can just extend it and let's say make it 100. So let's see if you can survive with this money up to 100 or not. And you can survive with 100 probably. So that basically means you are going to survive till 2073, and I'll just copy this whole thing. Oh my god. So now let's see what is happening here. Oh, so this is increasing like anything if you increase like this. So typically we are assuming, and you can see that if you survive even for 100 years, you will have money which is 55 crores you will have, for your keen, whatever money. So typically I come to the conclusion that if you have around 6 crore of money, then you can safely retire at this particular point, which is your 49 years of age, right? Or any age for that matter. If you have 6 crores of age and you have got investment in debt or fixed deposit or wherever, an equity, typically what I have reached to this calculation, that you need typically 6 crores for of investment. And if you have 6 crore of investment with this assumption, you can safely say that you are actually financial free, and you don't need to think at least about money for your survival. Okay, so I hope you will find this interesting, and if you are actually interested in getting this Excel, you can just write it to me. So my email is at gmail.com. Okay, so thank you for watching this, and I will come with some other interesting video next time. Okay, till then, bye bye, take care.